Something went wrong with this singer, but no one made it happen to her. So should we say she hurt her or she hurt herself? We'll say she hurt herself because we use reflexive pronouns if the subject is affected by its own action. Reflexive pronouns are words like myself, yourself, herself, himself, itself, ourselves, yourselves, and themselves. And we use them when the subject and the object are the same. In the video we saw, the lady was the subject because she did the action, but she also received the action of being hurt. So she was both the subject and the object, and we use the reflexive pronoun to show that. We also use reflexive pronouns to make it clear that it isn't someone else doing the action. In the video, we use the reflexive pronoun because no one else did it, and we want to make it clear it was only her who did the action. But there are a number of other reasons why we use reflexive pronouns and some common uses, which I'll get to at the end of the video. Have a look at this picture. If you're going to describe it simply, you might say, she punched him. But you might be rather surprised to hear that she did it. Maybe you weren't expecting it to be her. So we use a reflexive pronoun just to make it absolutely clear it really is her. She punched him herself, or she herself punched him. And in this case, we use reflexive pronouns as an emphatic compliment when the truth is surprising. Another reason why we use reflexive pronouns comes up in the next example. This lady is drinking tea. She says, I like tea, and she asks her friend, how about you? But her friend has got coffee instead. So she replies, I prefer coffee myself, or myself, I prefer coffee. So why did we use myself at the beginning and the end? Well, we use it as what we call a head or a tail for emphasis. Myself was the tail in the first sentence, I prefer coffee myself, to emphasize it's her feelings, not the other person's. And without any real change in meaning, we could also use it as a head, the first word. Myself, I prefer coffee. So making it clear again, I'm just referring to me. Here's another reason why we use reflexive pronouns. Imagine you're going to Buckingham Palace, the home of the king, and you have tickets. Someone asks you, who are these tickets for? And a simple answer is me and my wife. But we can use reflexive pronouns to make this more formal. Myself and my wife. Using the word myself instead of me makes it more formal, more official sounding, more grander. So using reflexive pronouns increases formality. We've got some more reasons to come though. What's going on in this meeting? They're all arguing. They argued with each other. And when we have this phrase with each other, we could use a reflexive pronoun instead. They argued among themselves. And when we say among themselves, we really mean with each other. One to another, another to another, and in the group they all go round and do the same thing. They all do the arguing. They argued among themselves. So we use reflexive pronouns to indicate reciprocal actions, where everyone does it in the group. And here's a final reason. Here's a lady who has a sheet of music in front of her. She wrote the tune herself. She wrote it all by herself. So there are two reasons why we use the reflexive pronouns here. If we say she wrote the tune herself, that means it's her work, no one else's work. If we say she wrote it all by herself, that means she did it alone, without anyone's help. They both mean the same thing, but they look at it from different angles. One emphasizes that she did something alone, and the other one emphasizes that she did it without help. And those are two more reasons why we use reflexive pronouns. But there are certain words and verbs that we use that commonly go with reflexive pronouns, and we're going to look at that now as we look at common uses. Firstly, to do with preparation. Look at this boy. He looks like he's getting ready to go on stage to perform in a theatre in front of hundreds. He's feeling a bit nervous. He needs to get ready. So he composed himself before performing in the play. Compose himself means get himself ready and in the right frame of mind to do what he needs to do. And we use the reflexive to show that he's doing that action to himself. Other verbs to do with preparation that could be followed by reflexive pronouns are compose, as we've seen, collect, prepare, brace, steady, and calm. Common reason number 2 is excessive effort. Look at these photos here. We have a baby or a toddler that's pulling out all of the clothes in the bedroom. The mother is not happy. She wanted to punish her child for wrecking the bedroom, but she restrained herself. So she put in a lot of effort to stop herself doing something. And other verbs that can work like this are rouse, which is the opposite, where you put a lot of effort into making yourself awake and alive. Assert is when you put a lot of effort into controlling a situation. And exert is to do with the energy you put into something. The runner exerted herself. Common use 3 is response to an outcome. This lady here is eating an ice cream because she's celebrating. After I got my exam results, I treated myself to an ice cream. So treated myself, well, this is something that she did to herself to mark the occasion. And we can do this with reward. I rewarded myself by going to the cinema. Or if it didn't go so well, I berated myself for not performing that well in the exam. Here's common use 4, self-inflicted injury, which we saw at the beginning. I hurt myself falling off the stage. And we could use injured and cut in this way. I injured myself. She cut herself. Self-inflicted injuries often go with reflexive pronouns because you did it to yourself. With communication, we often use reflexives. He's very good at expressing himself. So here, expressing himself means that he finds a way to get his own words out in a clear way. So again, there's some effort that he's putting into his own actions to make sure he's understood well. You could be very good at defending yourself too. So this can be with actions physically to stop someone hurting you, or with words to resist the arguments of others. If you defend yourself in a trial in court, then you say words that try to stop other people accusing you. You're doing an action that tries to protect you. Or you can explain yourself. If you explain yourself, then again, you're putting effort into the words you use to make sure that you're understood well. Sometimes we use reflexive pronouns with experiences. The children entertain themselves by playing with the toys. So they got the toys, they used them, and that did the entertaining. Now, often when we entertain, we talk about entertaining others. The actors entertain the crowd. But here, who is being entertained? The children are playing, and that leads to entertainment of the children. So the subject and the object are the same. They entertained who? Themselves. We can use this kind of language with enjoy and amuse itself. They enjoyed themselves, they amused themselves. Sometimes with the imperative, we can use reflexives. Don't wait for someone else to do it, the manager says. Do it yourself. Perhaps this is a manager with some staff that are not performing as they should. Perhaps these staff are waiting for someone else to make plans for the business, and the manager gets fed up and says, actually, you should do it. Do it yourself. Don't wait for someone else to do it. Here, the reflexive pronoun is used to emphasize, I mean you, not someone else. Here's some other phrases with imperatives. Help yourselves. People will say that when they're hosting a dinner event and the food is all laid out and the visitors are thinking, can I eat? Can I not eat? Should I wait for someone else? So the host says to them, help yourselves to anything. And that really means you go up and get your own food, you're welcome. And make yourselves at home means be comfortable. Do whatever you need to do to make yourself comfortable. And there are some fixed phrasal verb expressions too that you should know at an advanced level of English. This runner has been doing too much. So a friend needs to tell them, if you work too hard, you'll do yourself in. Do yourself in is when you put so much effort in, it eventually harms you. Other fixed phrasal verb expressions include make myself up. That's when you try and make yourself look pretty through makeup. Or took ourselves off. This is kind of a strange one, really, because it doesn't fit the normal reason for using the reflexive pronoun. But what it means is that you need to put some effort to get yourself to another place. Perhaps you're sitting on a bench. This man sits on a bench and he doesn't want to move, but eventually he took himself off to another place. There was some effort involved that he had to put into himself to get there. And this kind of phrase just puts more emphasis on that. But be careful, because we don't use reflexives for daily routine actions like get dressed, unless other rules require it for reflexives. There are some languages where things such as washing yourself, dressing yourself is the normal way to say it. But in English, no. We wouldn't normally use reflexives for get dressed or get washed or have breakfast. We wouldn't use reflexives for those unless there were one of the reasons I've explained in the video to use them. We don't use them automatically. So we've talked about how we use reflexive pronouns at an advanced level in English. The most important thing is when the subject and object are the same, but also to make clear it isn't someone else, as an emphatic compliment, as a head or tail for emphasis, to be more formal and polite, for reciprocal actions, and also to show that something was done alone or without help. And there are a number of common uses where a reflexive is often used. You can get practice in using reflexives in English through learning from more videos from me, practice tasks, conversation practice, and now with real-time role plays where you can chat to a chatbot real-time and they are trained to use reflexives when they speak. And you can do it back and forth for as long as you like. Get this course by going to the link in the description below me, and it's got hundreds and hundreds of lessons on English grammar for you to enjoy. You can join it right now.